Hello, hi everyone. Welcome back to Woo Can Cook. My name is Wesley, and this is a show where we are slowly cooking our way through all of the food from my childhood. Today we're diving back into our series dedicated to reproducing foods from my 8-day trip traveling through Taipei, Taiwan, with a return to what I would personally classify as the single most iconic piece of cuisine in Taiwanese street food culture, which is the Taiwanese green onion pancake, or bing. Now, for those keeping track, we have in fact done more than a handful of recipes circling around this dish, including the Taiwan taco, the Shanghai scallion pancake, the deep fried scallion pancake, and a few others. In addition to this, and maybe more importantly too, I personally have been making green onion pancakes since I was literally 10 years old. It is actually one of the very first things that I learned how to cook. And to be absolutely honest, I really thought that I knew how to make these things. Frankly, at face value, they don't appear to be all that hard to make. It's a flour and water-based dough rolled with green onions, flattened, and then fried. That's literally it. But then I went to Taiwan, and then I ate some of the most beautiful, flaky, and impossibly delicate green onion pancakes that I have ever had, and I realized that I have absolutely no idea how to create this. So here we are, on a quest to create not just any green onion pancake, but the best green onion pancake that has ever rocked my world. And let me tell y'all, it's way more difficult than I thought. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so before we dive in, first mistake right off the bat. The very first thing that I immediately realized as soon as I visited the first street stall that I could find in Taiwan is that everyone is using just way more green onions in their pancakes than I really even thought was actually possible. So, kicking things off here first, we're slicing up what's gonna seem like an absolutely ungodly amount of green onions. This is about 18 to 20 green onions that I'm first removing the root ends from, then separating by their whites and greens and slicing up thinly. Although these are heading into the same place, I'm still separating them because I want to have more control over how much of the whites and greens go into my pancakes today. Moving on to our dough next. Now, second mistake, I was always taught, literally since the 6th grade when I learned how to make these things, that a green onion pancake is made using a simple 2-to-1 ratio. That's 2 cups of AP flour, 1 cup of boiling water, and a pinch of kosher salt. Then, through some kind of strange mysterious magic, lift occurs when you fry them, and you get distinct separate flaky layers, sort of like making a croissant, but somehow without the butter. And I'm here to tell y'all that you have been lied to. This is a lie.
Yes, your grandma lied to you.
I swear to you, in every single street stall there is baking soda going into this dough. Just a half teaspoon mixed to combine until a shaggy dough forms for the same reason that we add it to fried chicken batters, because the alkaline will cause bubbling in the fry, yielding a more puffy and airy texture between the flaky layers of the pancake. Trust me, it'll work. From here, we'll proceed as we normally would. I'm separating these out into 2.5 ounce pieces, or what probably should just have been 6 even pieces, but whatever. Then I'm covering and resting these for 15 minutes before forming coin shapes with my hands, then rolling out to about 8 to 10 inches in diameter. Now, this rest period is absolutely key. Remember, the more that we work this dough, the more that we're going to develop gluten, or in other words, the chewy qualities of a bad green onion pancake that we're trying to avoid. This also means that there is a finite amount of rolling that we can do with these pancakes before we overdevelop the gluten. So if you notice that the dough starts springing back with a lot of elasticity, this isn't good and you probably need to rest it more. Once we have flattened out our dough, we're going to essentially start laminating sesame oil into it, sort of like how you would make a puff pastry. I'm brushing this down with about a tablespoon of sesame oil, then rolling the dough first horizontally, then vertically into a coil. Then now, here's where things could get out of hand. I'm flattening this dough coil and repeating this whole process a second time. Hypothetically, the more that we repeat this process, the more flaky layers that we'll be creating. But remember, we're also working against the development of gluten too. So we don't want to be rolling this thing endlessly. Personally, I found that just doing this twice is a nice even balance. I'm also doing this carefully because, as you may notice, if we roll too aggressively with too much pressure on the rolling pin, you might break a hole into the dough like this. Not so good. Don't worry y'all, we've got 6 more attempts to get this right. Here we are on my second attempt, brushing down a second layer of sesame oil, then adding in, as promised, an absolutely ungodly amount of green onions. This is probably something like 4 to 5 green onions per pancake, I think, rolled into a coil for a second time. You will notice as we roll though that the green onions make the dough even more delicate, causing the sides to rip if we work too quickly, also not great. So trying this one more time and rolling very gently, it will take longer, but have patience, soft hands, and light pressure on that rolling pin, or else this thing is gonna split again. Take it from me, all in all, I think I got 2 out of 6 of these right, really. Over on the stove, now the final detail that we'll need to get right here is number 1, the amount of oil that we're going to use, and number 2, the amount of heat that we want on the pan today. Too little oil and the pancake will fry splotchy and unevenly, but too much of it and it will start boiling. So I've got this relatively shallow zwilling skillet here that is perfect for this application. Then I'm adding just enough oil to coat the bottom of the pan, no more and no less. Then I've got the heat at a medium temperature to create this nice golden brown texture to our pancake. I'm serving these with a side of soy sauce and chili crisp oil, and we're ready to eat. Okay, so let's review. Are these as perfect as the pancakes from Lai Lai Dojang in Taipei? Well, no, but I think we're pretty freaking close though, and I will absolutely explain to you why. The first and most obvious reason that somehow never occurred to me before, but every single green onion pancake that you have ever had from the frozen aisle, and probably from most restaurants too, does not have nearly enough green onions in it, y'all. This is how all green onion pancakes should look inside. It should literally be overflowing with green onions. Stop skimping on these. Second, I don't know who started the rumor that green onion pancakes are made without a leavening agent, but it's absolutely a lie. Baking soda. Just a tiny little bit of it activated in the fry, and it will help the flaky layers separate from each other so that they don't all just mush together. Trust me, just do it and maybe don't tell my grandma about it. I don't know. Third, and probably most importantly, I personally always understood the green onion pancake to be a low-effort, quick and easy dish to make that's pantry-friendly, and honestly is just one of those dishes that I make when I'm drunk at 2 a.m. a lot. This is incorrect. And look, I'm not saying that you shouldn't make these when you're drunk at 2 a.m., but to correctly make these impossibly flaky, fluffy, crispy, and delicate seongyobing, it takes a lot of time, effort, and attention to detail. You simply just can't rush these. Not when you're rolling them, not when you're shaping the dough, not even when you're brushing it with sesame oil. Everything. It all takes time and patience. To put this in perspective, this is a dish that just took me close to 2 hours to correctly execute, and I have also absolutely made a sloppier version of this dish at 2 a.m. in under 10 minutes too. So, good luck, y'all. Okay, so that's it everyone. I hope you enjoyed this and I hope you give this one a shot. For those who missed it, this video is part of a larger series dedicated to reproducing foods that I came across during our time traveling through Taiwan, so definitely check out that 2-part series next if you haven't yet too. For the Bay Area locals, come find the Wu Can Cook fried rice pop-up at the West Oakland Farmers Market every Sunday, literally in front of the food hall where we'll be opening our very first brick and mortar later this year. As always, like, comment, subscribe, share, be nice interneters, and I'll see you soon.